G'day friends and fans, welcome to Dave Talk Stuff. Now, a lot of women, they seem to think they can have it all. And when they can't, they take their anger and frustrations out on men. Now, for the last, I would say decade, but it's really noticeable in the last 5 years. But according to some research, the trend away from marriage is actually all the way back to the 60s. Now, if you look at it, people who were born in the 50s grew up in a time where the divorce rate was at its lowest. Yet, by the time they became adults and got married, the amount of angst in society, the political and financial shifts, the economy was different. Now, you can't say the boomers sucked all the wealth out of the economy. The government did. And no one wants to say it. The government pulled the rug out from under us. Now, by the time, and yet people still look back at and say, oh, the glory days. Yes, Kennedy brought about social change. Look at the results of social change. I wouldn't call him a saint. I'd call him a sinner. Bill Clinton, his so-called balanced budget. He unleashed the banks. Yes. They made lots of money in the first 3 years. Yes. And then they financially collapsed. All that money they poured into GM and Ford. For what? Another economic collapse. So you have Bill Clinton, Obama, and JFK all responsible for creating multiple economic collapses and economic social collapses by changing laws that didn't need to be changed, by pushing abortion when it wasn't necessary. And while women celebrate their independence, they are now 30% financially worse off than the boomers. 30% and falling. Education has gone from the first world, best in the world, first world, to equal to third world standards. Yay, equality. But the idea that men no longer need women is now fast approaching. Women are obsolete. They have made themselves obsolete as a result of falling for toxic behavior. What women fail to understand is when you bring in a bunch of foreigners and they all spread toxicity about you and you fall for it, you have no one else to blame but yourself. Women voted for the mass migration. Women voted and took out all these petitions to get all these laws changed. And for what? They live shorter lives. More alcoholism. More heart attacks. Women are at their most miserable. But you know what? Men are happier. And women are now upset that men no longer need them. We don't need a woman for sharing the bills because they don't share the bills. That's the problem. Women have never contributed financially to the household. And what? Your few hours a week of housework? Most men can get a professional house cleaner for an hour cheaper than a wife and get a better job. Sex? Well, most marriages are sexless, so why have a marriage? Children? Most women go out and have multiple abortions, so forget that. There is nothing women offer anymore, and they wonder why men won't approach them. Because women want the best. The best! I deserve the best! Yet what do you offer? You offer abortions, you offer polygamy, you offer STDs. STD rates are what? Up 40%? It's been growing like 2% per annum, right? And what do you get with most women? Polyamorous septum rings with, every generation, has four. See, this is what most people don't understand. Sociology. Most of the behavior of millennials started with wanting to stand out. Right? They had the boom times after the financial collapse. So, and with the boom of Reagan, the yuppie left, and they weren't left wing, boomed, created new economic boom. But like all generations, they began pulling up the ladder, making sure that generational wealth was bullshit. They, just like boomers, they spent it all on themselves. They sold their houses. They went on world cruises and then made the government pay for their retirement. No, the human race is fundamentally broken by the generational greed of these dinosaur fossils, and they've been copycatted by the same dinosaur fossils now that are becoming millennials. Millennials, Y, whatever you want to call them, wanting their free healthcare, wanting their free housing, free food, wanting so-called reparations for all the historical wrongs of the past. Fine, George Floyd owns the woman he, George Floyd owns the woman he robbed. Reparations there. When George Floyd pays reparations, folks. Yeah. So the shift in momentum in society is because of perception. The left has controlled the media since Reagan, actually since Kennedy, but it's been obvious since Reagan. Reagan made the mistake of falling for the lobby group who said, more American content. Yeah. So instead of high quality value content mandated by the government, you had a free-for-all. Now, the libertarians, they love the anarchy. Just like the liberals, they love the anarchy. Because they can produce any crap, the lowest quality crap, and responsible to no one. And Hollywood and their corruption is just so entrenched. But with the corruption and the glamour of Hollywood losing its luster, you start to get a shift in society towards nihilism. And as a result of nihilism, instead of a relationship of mutual benefit, you have a relationship of mutual independence, where women no longer contribute to the household. They are merely an occupant who see themselves on a materialistic pedestal, wanting Louis Vuitton and Gucci and Prada. Yeah, they suck down the Pravda from Ukraine. Glug, 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 glug. Oh, give me more propaganda, Pravda. Glug, 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 glug. So, the CNN, you know the drill. So, all women are caring about is social status. And they exert this through TikTok. And they prostitute themselves on TikTok. And so, again, women chase property. But what do they do with it? Oh, it's to see my security, my old age. But then they go into a government retire home and go, you're going to pay for my health care because I exist. It's compassion, for you to be my slave. And that is why I constantly tell you, feminism is communism, folks. And Democrats are into their old tricks again of making you work to pay for their living. That's all it's about. It's for you to work while they dine in the sun. And it's not about millionaires and billionaires. That's the highway robbery of the gutless greedy. The reality is most men have burnout because they're overworked and underpaid. But what if I told you even though you are underpaid by only a fraction of a percentage, by the way, it's not actually that much. Trump has done a lot for you, but anyway, all credit aside, don't forget, America has the highest wage ratio in the world. And no, not thanks to unions, thanks to individual contract negotiation, collective bargaining. And yes, a lot of the time that is done by unions. But you only hear about it when it's done by unions, never by the majority of workers who organise. You don't need unions anymore, right? They are most organisations are parasitical in nature. I'm not saying all, right? You could, if a workers' collective is far more economically efficient, all it does is provide a legal service to workers and a collective bargaining mechanism. That's perfectly normal, perfectly fine. No union should be able to afford not 100, not 200, not 300, not 500, but up to, I'm talking about tens of millions, no. Oh, hundreds of millions, no. 14.1 billion of your wages, even though it's a fraction per worker, it's still your money, is being used to buy politicians and fund politicians, and they often put that money into the hands of rich celebrities to peddle influence. So we have social burnout where men are suffering from political fatigue, and it's translating to social fatigue, and with social fatigue, men are checking out. They're sick of women. They're sick of politically active women. They're sick of everything being politically active. They're sick of dating, right? Should only date 3 times in your life. They're sick of being told they have to have a date night when you have your wife, when their parents never had a date night, or if they did, they sat down to a special dinner at home. You know, back in the boom years, most people didn't go out. You may say, oh, but Dave, no, nightclubs everywhere. They were all full of single women, soldiers, and tourists, and rich people. But they so convinced you that it was everybody. See, for most men, there's no political clout anymore because we won't organise. Most men are obviously better off without women. There's no doubt. Most men are happier. They have more time for themselves. They're actually leading healthier lives, taking better care of themselves than they ever did. Now, yes, in the past they would say, oh, but men who are married had better outcomes, they're happier. Yeah, because they're getting regular sex and regular meals. We went through this period of the 90s and early noughts where men's health declined post-divorce. But because less men are getting married and more men are getting out of that post-divorce malaise and actually starting to take care of themselves, men's income and men's savings are up while women's are down up to 30%. And women have been 11% less productive means that a lot of companies who rely on the female workforce are doing worse off than the high male ratio industries. And what does the data actually show? It shows that marriage as an institution is based on a fallacy. The fallacy being that men are better off married. That is a creation of the state so they don't have to take care of the women. Because ultimately, if you look at most of the millionaires and billionaires, they are never going to marry Jenny from the block. Most of these Hollywood types are collapsing, not just we're going to see a financial wave of second and third generation Nepo babies in Hollywood begging for funding. Because they're consuming, their lifestyles consume wealth at a rate they cannot sustain. And the data actually shows that people are no longer copying celebrities. The amount of copycats in men are going down. Yes, it's going up with women for now, but women are no longer long-term desirable. Most high school seniors in the last decade, even in the last 5 years, particularly. And last year, the amount of boys asking their high school sweetheart to marry is at an all-time low. And in fact, over half the class don't have sweethearts. Again, by pushing the gay agenda, by pushing every agenda but marriage, and turning marriage into a financial institution, a tax on men, they have destroyed society. And yet, somehow, we're supposed to politically award, and this is the only reason why, folks, they bring in migrants, is that migrants will vote for our continued decline. Now, the working class man used to be the driving productive force and reproductive force. But most working class men have no time for women and their shenanigans. They don't remind them of their mothers or their grandmothers. They don't. All they want to talk about is political activism. They're like Mary Poppins. And that is exactly the problem. Everyone is copying something they saw on Disney or something they saw on TV. And the data backs me, by the way. You can look it up yourself. Men do better without a wife. Yet, Harvard keeps telling you the opposite. But Psychology Today and I'm not saying YouTubers, but the number of sociologists outside of the system are making videos where men are better off without women. And that older men listening to their sons and are saying they don't want to end up with a wife like their sister or their mother. And I can understand it, but women, because they see the glitz and the glamour and they see the facade funded by them, and they don't realize this facade is a facade funded by the rich, who are just pissing themselves laughing at all the people who follow their stupid fashion trends and fads. I bet you at the end of the day, half these people in Hollywood aren't gay. It's all a performance. I bet you most of them aren't happily married. Look at what recently came out about not McConaughey, the Canadian goofball who played Deadpool. Yeah, it turns out they're not happily married. It's just a facade. They live in separate halves of the house and don't talk. It's Hollywood, baby. So don't let the media gaslight you. We're getting better, and things are going to get better and continue to get better. Now, quick appeal for support. Empire Valves, that's one word, empirevalves.myshopify.com. What has your mug done for you lately? Where has it taken you? Has it taken you to the realms of dark fantasy and dark magic, where life is full of hope and wonder still, but there's a growing darkness around the corner? Hey, it's coffee time! Alright, thank you for watching. Please like, share, and subscribe. Please support the channel. You can support me on Ko-Fi, Patreon, buy my books, buy my merch. All my links in the link tree description below. Scan the QR code on the screen. Appreciate each and every one of you. See you in the next video. Bye for now.